Hello, hello, welcome, please come in. It's time to resume our Psychic-type journey this week in Pokémon SoulSilver. From a remake of Gen 1 to a remake of Gen 2, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I assure you, it changes everything it needs to. For starters, though, I need to change my Pokémon. Like in Leaf Green, you can't actually get any Psychic types right off the bat, and I will be using Slowpoke as it is the first Psychic type you can get in this game. I mean, technically Unknown is actually the earliest, but if you think I'm going to beat any fights with an Unknown, I regret to inform you that that is incorrect. And Slowpoke's starting move pool is interesting. Tackle, Yawn, and Curse? Okay. Starter acquired, I can head west to Cherry Grove, then struggle my way north. My move pool is not great, and Slowpoke, as the name suggests, is very slow. And not particularly strong besides that. Meet with the professor, and then make my way back to Professor Elm, where I must overcome my first rival fight, who, despite having a grass type, can't actually do anything to my Slowpoke. Mostly because I have Yawn to put it to sleep, and can then just bash it in the face repeatedly. The power of sleep. Professor Elm's lab has been robbed, and we must name our rival, and then it's west, learning how to catch Pokemon for the 50th time. And walking back to Cherry Grove. Then heading north through this boring route with easy trainers, and it's time to head to the ruins of Alph. By solving this block puzzle, I can actually catch a Psychic type, but it is unknown and therefore super weak. You know, I wonder if an Unknown with a Rock type hidden power could beat this gym by itself? I probably should have tested that before putting in Slowpoke as my starter. Oh well, too late now. But before I can try the first gym, I have to run through Bellsprout Tower, which is more difficult than normal because grass is good against water. But fortunately, the Bellsprout are such a low level, it doesn't actually make that much of a difference. Anywho, time to hack in infinite rare candies, level up to the level cap, and it's into the gym. Curse lowers my already terrible speed while also boosting my mediocre attack and defense. On one hand, this makes me more durable and able to hit the boss harder. On the other hand, it does mean the Pidgey has more time than normal to drop my accuracy with Sand Attack. Good news is that +4 attack is +4 attack, so my hits do big damage. It does take 2 attempts to take down the Pidgeotto, but that is the first gym completed. That could have gone better. That isn't even a gym that I was expecting to be that difficult, but I guess only having one Pokemon will do that to you. Okay, time to head south through a cave with a bunch of boring trainers, and I arrive at Slowpoke Well. As you might expect, this is the normal point in the game where I would be able to get a Slowpoke. So it's barely later, it's fine. Here, I need to beat up some Team Rocket Jerks to rescue the Slowpoke, which paves the way to the next gym leader, Bugsy. And this fight is gonna be a bit of a problem. Psychic type is weak to Bug type, and in Leaf Green, the idea of Bug types actually threatening Psychic Pokemon was very funny. Here it is less of a joke. Bugsy leads with a Scyther, a very strong Bug type for this point in the game, and it actually has a good attacking move, the 70 base power U-turn. This also switches the Scyther out and into Bugsy's 2 tankier boys. So this is going to be a bit more complicated with just what I have available to me now. Good news is that Curse boosts attack and defense to help mitigate the damage of U-turn. Bad news is that Scyther has Leer to continue reducing my defense, so I end up gaining less of a bonus than I'd like. Okay, let's try that again, but this time we yawn instead of cursing at the start, then start cursing. This does something, mostly locking Scyther and Slowpoke into a war of defense boosting and defense lowering. However, that eventually works in my favor because I can get my attack up to +6 before tackling a few times to bring down Scyther. And while Kakuna and Metapod have decent defense, it's not enough. Okay, that only took 2 attempts, way easier than I was expecting. But before I can get out of this town, I need to survive another rival fight. And hoo boy, does this not go super great. The level limit for the next gym is only 19, so I really don't have a lot of level leeway. Good news is that he leads with Ghastly, which is weak to Confusion. Bad news is that next up is Bayleaf, which has Poison Powder to slowly kill me, and then Synthesis to heal itself. I do get exceedingly lucky with a Confusion trigger and Bayleaf taking itself out. Unfortunately, the poison did a lot of work and Slowpoke goes down. And as much as I'd love Unknown to do anything, it's simply not going to. So no choice but to hop back into the fight. Same start, take out the Ghastly with Confusion, then switch into Unknown to break the curse. Unknown is now leveled up a bit, but I still can't deal any meaningful damage. No idea what type this hidden power is, but it's sure not helpful. Back into Slowpoke, who can get off a yawn and then spam Confusion while Bayleaf falls asleep. And then it immediately wakes up, but thanks to a crit, Bayleaf goes down, and I can Confusion to finish the fight? Ah, there we go. Good luck on the Zubat hitting itself. That does mean Slowpoke is already at the next level cap, which isn't super ideal for a not over-leveling standpoint, but I can make that work. sneak up on some Farfetch'd in the next forest, and then catch a Paris to use as an HM Pokemon, because I don't want to teach any of my good Pokemon bad moves. And now that I'm through the next forest, I can start actually catching some more Psychic types to add to the team, which I desperately need. First on the list is a Drowsy. I will be prioritizing new Pokemon added in Gen 2, but for now I'll take what I can get. And that continues with catching fan favorite Abra, tripling my number of usable Mons. I can then head back into the forest to talk with this very normal man to teach Slowpoke Headbutt, which is both stronger than Tackle and can be used to hit trees to spawn certain Pokemon. Which gets me my next Pokemon, Execute. So a lot of returning favorites from Leaf Green. Oh yeah, I can get the bicycle in the Goldenrod bike shop. Faster movement for me. Then over to the radio building to do a quick Pokemon quiz, so Whitney will go back to the gym to do her job of being a surprisingly difficult gym leader. During the leveling process leading up to that, Abra evolves into Kadabra and actually gets an attacking move. And it's time to face down a gym leader, and Whitney is no joke. Her Miltank is very fast, can heal itself, and can flinch your party to death with Stomp. So let's see how this goes. I lead with Slowpoke. All of the scary moves in this fight are physical moves, meaning if I spend some time spamming Curse at the start of the fight, I can maximize my defense. And while Miltank does try to best me, that buff to defense, and ignoring Attract thanks to Oblivious, means I can actually just headbutt and yawn down both of Whitney's Pokemon. Okay, well that was surprisingly easy. Not that I really expected too much, but I've heard a lot of horror stories about that gym, and that was not difficult at all. Alright, let's just move on then. That fairly easy fight done, it's time to head north through this route and straight past the bug catching competition, because bugs scare my delicate little Kadabra. And I've arrived in Ecruteak City. A brief chat with Bill, and he returns to his home in Goldenrod City, which means I also need to immediately backtrack to Goldenrod City. Because chatting with Bill gets me an Eevee, a very important Pokemon for a lot of type challenges, and this one is no exception. Eevee will evolve into Espeon, a very good Psychic type when it levels up with High Friendship during the day. And because of the generation this is, that means there are really no easy ways to boost Friendship, but that's okay. Pokemon Friendship has a chance to go up every 1,000 steps or so. And in addition to the one haircut you can do to get a better Friendship boost, I'll have this Eevee up and happy in no time. Thank you, Speed Up, for making this run back and forth faster than it otherwise would be. Huh, couldn't I have just changed the date on my DS to unlock another haircut over and over until I maxed out Friendship? I may be stupid. Regardless, after a lot of biking back and forth and one quick clock manipulation to make it daytime, there is Espeon, my favorite evolution. Anyway, now that that diversion is completed, I can bike all the way back to Ecruteak City, and I can head right into the Burnt Tower, chat with Ucine for like 2 seconds, and it's time for another rival fight. Thank you for leading your 2 poison types right in a row against my Espeon. Then out comes Bayleaf, who tries to delay things with Synthesis and Reflect, but ultimately fails. And the last Pokemon is Magnemite, which does resist Psychic-type moves, but still doesn't have the special defense for that to actually matter. It then paralyzes both our Pokemon thanks to Synchronize, and that's the end of the fight. Wow, Espeon just soloed the entire rival battle. Next up, it's into the Ecruteak Gym, and this is a Ghost Gym. Theoretically frightening because Psychic types are weak to Ghost types. On the other hand, every single trainer uses exclusively the Ghastly line, which is also a Poison type, and therefore weak to my entire team. So we'll see how this goes. Alright, Morty, what have you got? Okay, a Ghastly. I lead with Execute to set up Leech Seed, for some reason. The Ghastly drops to 1 Confusion. Then Haunter barely survives a Confusion before putting Espeon to sleep. I really need to get Espeon a better attacking move. Into Slowpoke, who is a bit more durable to finish off the Haunter, and out comes his ace Gengar, who one-shots my entire team. Okay, that's not great by any metric. Why are my levels so low? Oh, it's because I'm stupid and forgot to level up before hopping into the fight. Let's burn some rare candies and fix that. Back into the fight, I lead with Espeon, because obviously, and one-shot Ghastly and Haunter. Then Gengar one-shots Espeon, and Kadabra. Okay, this may end up going the exact same way. On the other hand, I'm still underleveled. Not really sure why. Past me is an enigma, I guess. So, let's get up to level 25, like we should be. Back into the fight again, and Espeon once more gets to Gengar easily, but has enough HP to actually survive a hit and take out a large chunk of Gengar's HP before going down. Drowsy has no luck at dealing any damage, so it's into Kadabra, who dies. Slowpoke? Nope. Execute? Surely you can... Okay then, so Gengar can one-shot sweep my entire team. That's not great. Espeon can take 1 hit, but that's not quite enough to do it. So what is my plan here? I need something to turn this unfortunate sequence to my advantage. I think I need to head back to Goldenrod real quick. Gengar is very fast and very strong, however, I can do something about that. Execute is able to learn Reflect and Light Screen, and while it does already have one of those, I think it actually needs both to be the most effective. Execute no longer has any damaging moves. On the other hand, its moveset was designed by a criminal. I think that can do it, if I'm careful. I lead with Kadabra, who can take out Ghastly with Psybeam, then switch into Slowpoke against Haunter. Meant to put you to sleep, but I guess that's okay. I'll switch into Execute and eventually put up Light Screen right before going down. This means Espeon can hopefully survive 2 Shadow Balls. And a crit takes out Gengar in 1 shot. So that was pointless. Anyway, Espeon can then one-shot the last Haunter. Okay, that ended up being more difficult than I'd expected. Over in Olivine City, I can grab the good rod I will never use, climb the lighthouse and chat with Jasmine. She won't fight us in the gym until we get the medicine need to cure Ampharos, so it's time for another excursion. But first I need to backtrack because I never actually picked up the HM for Surf from the dance theater. So I need to head back to Ecruteak to save this woman from a level 12 coughing? Okay then. Good news is Surf is strong and Slowpoke can learn it. Equally good news is having Surf means I can head back to the ruins of Alph, where another Pokemon is waiting for me. In the grass here, there's a... Wait, how do you get to that grass again? Do I need to solve another riddle? I'm confused. Is it this way, maybe? Oh god, Entei, my dude, what are you doing here? How did I manage to accidentally run into a roaming legendary? Goodbye, though, because you are not a Psychic-type Pokemon, and even if you were, I'm not going to use a legendary on my team. Turns out, to get to that patch of grass, you need to head through this cave in order to exit into a certain area of the ruins of Alph to be able to reach the grass, which has Natu as an encounter, a flying psychic Pokemon that's pretty good. I mean, it was introduced in Gen 2, so good may be a bit of a stretch, but it gives me some more type diversity, which is very nice. And that means dropping Drowsy, because it shares the mono-psychic typing with Kadabra and Espeon and is just worse than either of them. Xatu's moveset doesn't seem great. Maybe I'll just teach it Shadow Ball for a decent attacking move. I probably should save it for a better Pokemon, but it's probably fine. Okay, now I can head back to Olivine and start the long surf across the sea to Cianwood. I need the secret potion here to cure the sick Ampharos, but this city also has a gym of its own, a fighting-type gym. You may be shocked to learn that I am not overly concerned about this fight. And yeah, in addition to being a fighting-type trainer, Chuck only has 2 Pokemon? I decided to play carefully by leading with Xatu to confuse his Pokemon, and that is a complete waste of time. Kadabra can pop right in and take out both of Chuck's Pokemon by itself. That nets me another gym badge, and outside I get the Fly HM. I can teach this to Xatu as a decent flying-type move, and now I have fast travel on hand. Then grab the secret potion from this incredibly sketchy shop and fly back to Olivine to fix up Ampharos. That means it's already time for the next gym battle, which I am actually worried about. Jasmine's Pokemon aren't actually that strong, but the Steel type resists a lot of different types, including Psychic, so finding a way to deal damage in this gym is going to be a bit rough. My moveset, as is, definitely isn't going to work. Good thing I can pop back to Goldenrod. The department store sells a number of TMs, notably Fire Blast. Let's just hope one of my Pokemon can learn it. Slowpoke, the Water type, is my only Pokemon that can learn Fire Blast? Okay then, that's something. But it's also all I've got, so we're gonna have to make it work. This gym is actually interesting because there is no gym challenge because you helped Jasmine with the lighthouse, which is cool. Anyway, time to level up to the next level cap. Let's see if we can make this work. The worst part about needing to use Slowpoke against Jasmine is 2 of her Steel types are also Electric types, which are quite strong against Slowpoke. So I lead with Execute, which resists Electric type moves, and first up is to put the Magnemite to sleep, and then switch into Slowpoke. Fire Blast misses, and then Slowpoke goes down in 1 Thunderbolt, so that's a great start. Into Espeon, who doesn't deal a ton of damage, but can use Synchronize to paralyze and beat the first Magnemite. Once Espeon goes down, it's into Kadabra, who can do the exact same thing to the second Magnemite, and then is the real terror, Steelix. I switch into Execute, who can put the Steelix to sleep and drop a Leech Seed. Once Execute is back up to a decent HP total, I switch into Hypno, which I had switched back into the party to replace my HM Paris. And between Leech Seed, Hypnosis, and Psybeam can finish off the Steelix and win the fight. I was pretty worried about that gym, and my methods were not honorable, but I did win. Next up, it's time to catch a new Pokemon. Girafarig isn't great, but it is the closest thing I have to a physical attacker, in that it has equal special attack and physical attack. The normal typing could be useful. I am a bit concerned about its stat spread, though. Oh well, I'll see if I can make it work. There's some rocket nonsense to handle, which requires heading north on Route 43 and beating up the red Gyarados. Yep, very neat, very pretty, I guess. Get in the Pokeball so I can throw you in the PC and never think about you again. Or just die, I guess. Anyway, now that that's done, I can fly to Mahogany City and raid the secret rocket hideout with Lance's help. I'm trying to use Girafarig as much as possible here to prevent over-leveling, because I already did. Turns out Jasmine's ace Pokemon is level 35, while Price's strongest Pokemon is level 34? Which is very weird. Why did they do that? The levels in this game are such a mess. Fortunately, the rocket hideout itself is not even slightly difficult, especially the double battle at the end, where Lance has a level 40 Dragonite, which is confusingly impossible. But that's fine, he's allowed to cheat, I guess. Anyway, into the next gym, which is an ice gym, as many late-game gyms often are. Huh, I don't actually have any good moves against ice types, do I? I guess I can teach Girafarig Iron Tail? Maybe that will be enough to make a difference? Oh, right, water resists steel. I guess I can just stomp? Iron Tail is better against Piloswine, but honestly not by much. And then Execute goes down in one blizzard. Not surprising, but I was hoping to get a Leech Seed off. Okay, Slowpoke, you can kinda tank blizzards to defeat Piloswine, but it takes basically all of your HP. Let's send in Espeon next. Confusion was weaker than I'd hoped. It is still enough to finish Dugong thanks to a convenient Confuse status. Oh wait, that was it? Wow, way to go, Ice Gym, you managed to live down to my expectations. Amazing. But before I can continue with fighting gym battles, I need to do some more Team Rocket nonsense. First is into the Goldenrod Underground to steal a Team Rocket outfit, then fight my way through Radio Tower. The last gym had Pokemon at level 34. Why are all the Pokemon here in the mid-20s? What is this game's encounter design? I mean, it's fine with me, less I have to talk about in this video, but this is wild. Okay. At least this guy has level 30 Pokemon. Sir, why do you have 5 coughings and a wheezing? Other Pokemon exist. Oh neat! Kadabra has evolved into Alakazam. I love finally having Alakazam. And just in time for another rival fight. He leads with Golbat and Haunter, which is funny. Then Sneasel, which I actually can't hurt at all because of its dark typing. I switch into Girafarig, who gets bodied. Then into Xatu to set up a Tailwind for speed. Then back into Alakazam, because I'm an idiot. I have a bad feeling that Sneasel is going to wipe my entire team. And not because it's that strong, but because I'm stupid and playing bad. Okay, thank you, Slowpoke. You managed to actually save me. I mean, then comes Meganium, and I've lost all my good Pokemon to incompetence, other than Alakazam, who actually manages to out-damage Synthesis on Meganium and then take out Magnemite. Okay, I don't feel great about that fight. I played very poorly, I really should have lost, but oh well, all that matters is the W. More boring rocket nonsense that we can skip past because none of these fights are actually interesting. Even the final battle against whoever this guy is just isn't difficult, which is kind of impressive considering most of his team is dark types. But now that the rocket nonsense is concluded, I can head through Ice Path on my way to the final gym. There are a bunch of ice puzzles here, but nothing too tricky. Huh. You know what? It occurs to me that the next gym is Dragon type. I guess I should catch a Jinx? I am trying to prioritize new Pokemon, but that ice typing is pretty important. Too bad Jinx's move pool is a lot worse now that the physical special split has happened. That should be fine though. Time to level up. Fake Tears should be good, -2 special defense. Wake Up Slap? I mean, it's not strong, but it's a fighting type move at least. Why does Jinx learn so many physical attacks? Its base physical stat is 50. And you know what? It's time to finally evolve Slowpoke into Slowking. That extra bulk should be useful. Let's see how this Claire fight goes. What do you have for me? Gyarados. I don't have any electric moves, and Psychic is so very close to being a 2-shot. And Espeon is not as strong as Alakazam, and doesn't have Psychic. Okay, this is going really badly. It takes 4 Pokemon for Jinx to finish off Gyarados. And while Jinx's only Ice-type move is super effective against the rest of Claire's team, Powder Snow is a very weak move. Okay, you know what? This fight is not going to work for me. Even setting aside everything else, Kingdra is a beast, and this just is not going to work. I do try the fight a few more times, but the Gyarados really destroys my party every single time. If only I had something to take it out quickly. Oh, you know what? They do sell the Thunder TM in Goldenrod. I wonder if any of my Pokemon can learn it. Girafarig? Okay, that would not have been my guess, but it'll do, probably. Back into the fight, and my next problem is Girafarig is really slow. So I actually need to lead with Natu to set up a Tailwind, then switch into Girafarig to get off the Thunder that will take out Gyarados. From there, Girafarig's work is basically done, but it does finish off the first Dragonair with Zen Headbutt. Kingdra is a bit of a wall, so in order to make my hits count, I switch into Jinx to use Fake Tears. Then into Alakazam, which can one-shot Kingdra thanks to the special defense drops. Dragonair comes in and uses Thunder Wave, but Alakazam has Synchronize. I almost feel bad for my enemies with how many of my Pokemon have Synchronize, but I don't. Anyway, Claire is a big baby, so she won't give me the badge, so I have to make my way through the Dragon Cave, or whatever this place is, have a 2-minute chat with this old man to be told I am, in fact, worthy. And then Claire finally gives me the badge, but only after this dude tells her she sucks, and to be better. Harsh, but true. And now there's a bunch of nonsense to do. I would love to just head through the Victory Road and face down the Elite Four, but first I need to fly over to Ecruteak to face the Kimono Girls. Which starts off rough with Umbreon, the real tanky dark type, then continues to be not great with the fast special attacking Espeon, but then it's mostly neutral or positive matchups that I can just breeze through. Though I may have not swept if not for this Vaporeon hitting itself in Confusion 3 times in a row. Great, I've used up all my Confusion luck and I'm not even at the Elite Four. Before the game will let me get on with it, I need to go find Lugia, who is in these Whirlpool Isles, which I don't know how to navigate at all, and I don't actually know how to read the map for this area. Am I stupid? Which way am I supposed to go? Oh, this way. Anyway, hi Lugia, have a Master Ball, and goodbye. And yes, I know Lugia is a Psychic type, but using a legendary Pokemon, come on, that feels kind of going too far, right? I don't need that help. Surely the Elite Four can't possibly stand up to my powerful Psychic attacks. The path to the Elite Four itself is long and not that interesting. I do run into a slight issue in that 2 of my Pokemon end up a little bit over-leveled for the first Elite Four member, but that is fine for reasons I will get to. The only fight of any significance in this area is the final rival fight. He leads with Sneasel, his best Pokemon for facing down my team, except not being able to evolve it because it's his Gen 2 team means Espeon can actually take out Sneasel fairly easily by just spamming Swift. Slowking drops to Haunter because it is too slow, it turns out, but Espeon can pop back in to one-shot Haunter and Golbat. Next up is Magneton, which resists basically all my attacks. I do get its HP down just low enough that Natu can finish it before Meganium pops in. Despite the good type matchup, Natu is just too weak to take down the Meganium with Fly. And then in comes Tentacool, because I needed HM Pokemon and the fight is over. That's fine, now that I know the team, I can actually have a team ready to bring down my rival. Yeah, I think Execute and Girafarig are back in, at least for the moment, as I don't want to overlevel my Pokemon anymore. And of course I need to level up Execute a bit, and use a Leaf Stone to finally get Executor. And no, don't ask where I got this Leaf Stone, it's none of your business. Okay, back into the fight, but this time with an actual plan instead of just winging it like usual. First up is Sneasel again, but this time I can get one shot. Okay, Executor is going to put Sneasel to sleep. It wakes up after one turn, but at least I got Leech Seed off. And then into Girafarig, which accomplishes nothing and dies, so into Slowking, who can finally take out the Sneasel with Surf. Meganium is an interesting decision. Blizzard should do a lot. Slowking drops, but now it's time for Alakazam to remind everyone why it is terrifying. Goodbye, Meganium, Haunter, and Golbat. Magneton resists Psychic, but that's not actually that meaningful, and Synchronize means Magneton also gets paralyzed. And finally, I can switch into Natu to take down Kadabra with a Shadow Ball. Alright, well that was messier than I'd hoped, but that is the last rival fight done. Only one thing left to do. And coming into the Elite Four matchups is going to be Jinx, Natu, Executor, Slowking, Alakazam, and Espeon. First on the hit list is Will, a Psychic-type trainer, so he resists many of my moves, and I can't actually use Alakazam and Espeon because they are over-leveled. I start by sending in Natu to set up Tailwind, but wow, things are going badly. Oh good lord, a freeze? Okay, I'm not sure I can win this fight with Alakazam and Espeon, regardless of level. Okay, so that went bad. What's my actual plan? I do still want the speed from Tailwind, but once Natu goes down, it's into Executor. Grass matches up poorly with Ice, but Executor doesn't actually have attacking moves. Instead, I can put Jinx to sleep and wait for it to die. Then in comes Natu, and I use the same strategy, but switch into Jinx to finish off the Natu with Powder Snow. Jinx drops to the second Natu, but Slowking can mop it up with Blizzard, then a big Blizzard hit against Will's Executor, and finish it with Surf. Will's final Pokemon is Slowbro, which I don't really have anything for. Girafarig has Thunder, but it was too weak to bring into the Elite Four. But Exeggutor has Leech Seed and Sleep Powder. Eventually, I send in Slowking to mop up the fight. Will down, and I never used my overleveled Alakazam or Espeon. And with the level cap now raised, they are back in play against the next Elite Four member. I'm not proud of that fight with the sleeping and the leeching, but I did win. And next up in the itinerary is Koga, a poison-type specialist. I don't like your odds, Koga. Huh, when does Espeon learn Psychic? I mean, I still take down Ariados and Muck without issue, then into Exeggutor to set up Leech Seed, mostly to get some healing while Xatu finishes off Oresrush. Switch into Alakazam against Crobat. Oh crap, Crobat is faster than Alakazam? That's bad, actually. Crobat is super dangerous and it has double team, so my attacks keep missing. I'm sorry, did Crobat just nearly solo my entire team? Before finally dropping to an Exeggutor. But Venomoth is next, and I can't win with that. Okay, I need a new plan. Back into the fight, and Espeon finishes off both Ariados and Muck again. Oresrush takes out Espeon, but uses Explosion to do it, which I'll take. This lets me switch in Xatu to use Tailwind to boost my team's speed. Crobat, can you please kill Xatu instead of boosting your evasion? No? Okay. Thanks to a lucky freeze, I finally managed to bring down Crobat with Slowking, who can finish off Venomoth because it's a Venomoth. Well, that poison specialist was a lot more difficult than I'd expected. I should have remembered how strong Crobat was. I love Crobat. Anyway, now it's time for the Fighting Elite Four, and this fight will be easy. And yeah, Espeon doesn't solo the entire fight, but it comes pretty close. It might have been able to if it learned Psychic. Does Espeon learn Psychic at some point? Too late to care. One Elite Four member left, and it's Karen, the Dark-type Elite Four member, and the hardest trader in the game by a good measure. She leads with bulky Umbreon, and that's how you know it's bad. It was bad before Umbreon used Double Team 4 times. My initial plan is to use Sleep Powder and then Wake Up Slap, my only fighting type move, but between Jinx's bad physical attack and Umbreon's impressive bulk, that is bad. Okay, let's try something else, which is to say the same strategy, but also set up Leech Seed, which doesn't even work because Jinx keeps missing. So I have to switch back into Exeggutor to set up Leech Seed, and then back into Jinx, and back into Exeggutor. Oh, Karen can switch Pokemon? Okay. I'll switch in Xatu. Shadow Ball deals less damage than I'd hoped. Why did she switch into Houndoom? Good thing Xatu can solo it, and then take out Gengar. Okay, the Murkrow shouldn't be too dangerous. Oh, it has Sucker Punch. I'm sorry, is that Murkrow going to solo my entire team? Huh, interesting. Okay, so that went better than expected, and then way worse. And bluntly, we're gonna skip over most of the intermittent steps and skip right to the winning attempt, because it took a while. Against Umbreon, I set up my usual Sleep Powder and Leech Seed, and a Reflect for good measure. Then into Xatu to confuse and set up Tailwind, back into Exeggutor after the full restore to set up Reflect and Sleep again, and it's back into Xatu to basically stand there while the Umbreon dies. Switch into Alakazam against Gengar to one-shot it with Psychic. Xatu does lose, but it's close. Murkrow then one-shots Jinx, but Slowking is here to finish it off. Back into Alakazam to one-shot Vileplume, and all that's left is Houndoom. Alakazam only has Psychic moves, so it's completely worthless for the rest of the fight, so I just let it die to get a clean switch into Espeon. And while Karen thinks accuracy is funny, so do I, because Espeon won't learn any decent moves, so I still have Sand Attack. This means Slowking can come and finish off the Houndoom with Surf while taking no damage. And yeah, oof, that was rough. The Dark type is just a huge wall. That Psychic immunity is just so bad. A resistance would be manageable, see Alakazam v Magneton, but immunity just destroys my offense. Okay, but that fight is done, all that's left is Lance. Lance leads with Gyarados, which is 4 times weak to electric attacks, which would be great if I had any, but sadly the only Pokemon I have that can learn it is Girafarig, which is not here. Instead, I need to lead Exeggutor against a Pokemon that is bulky, strong, and has an Ice-type move, though honestly Exeggutor almost wins the fight thanks to Sleep and Reflect. Espeon can then pop in to finish off, and then die to Aerodactyl. Good news is I do have a Water move to hit Aerodactyl, which apparently has never even heard of Special Defense, and then Blizzard takes out the first Dragonite. I send in Jinx against the second, but Jinx sucks, and Xatu doesn't do much better. Alakazam actually goes toe-to-toe with the Dragonite a lot longer than I would have expected, but I do lose. So, as before, I need to do a bit more strategizing. Exeggutor is the only Pokemon I have that can actually face off against Gyarados for any amount of time, which isn't good, but it's what I've got. I do get frozen in the next 2 attempts, immediately. That's a 10% chance per. Okay, Lance, you want to play dirty? Try to kill me when Exeggutor is sleeping, leeching, and reflecting during the entire Gyarados fight. That doesn't feel fair, and I do not care at this point. I'm gonna kill this Gyarados. There we go, and Exeggutor is nearly at full health. Lance then sends in Charizard. Okay, I can put it to sleep, and Slowking can kill it in a single serve. Slowking then blizzards through a paralysis to take out the first Dragonite. I switch into Xatu for the second to set up Tailwind and Confuse Ray, but Lance then switches in Aerodactyl, who does lose some health to Confusion and a Shadow Ball. So, as Lance uses a full restore, it's back to Exeggutor to be a hero, and set up Leech Seed and Sleep Powder. I have a newfound fondness for Exeggutor. It's a menace, and manages to take down Aerodactyl. More Sleep Powder and Leech Seed against Dragonite, which is a slow process, but Exeggutor can nearly take out another Pokemon through sheer crime, I guess. Back into Jinx to finish off the Dragonite with Powder Snow, then do a big hit against the last Dragonite. You're up, Alakazam. Okay, that could have gone better, but it's confused from Outrage now. A Psybeam nearly brings it down, and it KOs itself from Confusion, which means Lance is down, and the game is won. Okay, that went interestingly. Psychic was honestly stronger than I expected, but a lot of the gyms in this game were almost tailor-made to take out Psychic types. And the Elite Four were half very easy and half nightmare. Honestly, most of that victory came down to Exeggutor having Leech Seed and Sleep Powder, which were definitely more Grass than Psychic. Oh well, still counts. But I will have more to say about that in the summary video, out in a few weeks. I did want to shout out that I do have a Patreon, linked in the description. I spend a lot of time making these videos. So, if you enjoyed the video, want to support the channel, and are financially stable enough to do so, that exists. No pressure though, this channel is free to enjoy for everyone and will remain that way. For now, if you liked this video, be sure to hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of this, feel free to subscribe. Hey, maybe leave a comment if you have something you'd like to say. But whatever you decide to do, have a safe trip home.